Hey guys, how's it going? It's your boy Mr. Almighty Lewis back at you with another video. Alright, so in this video we're going to be talking about a video that I actually saw here on YouTube, and I sort of felt like I needed to comment on it. So I'm not going to say who the video it's from, but I'm just going to say that it went along the lines of like the pandemic, affecting introverts more than it affects extroverts. So I'm going to give my opinion on that, and yeah, so make sure that you subscribe, make sure you hit the like button. But more importantly, please, hit the notification icon when you subscribe, because I need subscribers and I need those subscribers to be watching these videos. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. So the pandemic, as many of you guys may know, we have a pandemic going on right now, the coronavirus and everything along those lines. It's happening very differently around the world, so I'm not exactly sure what's going on, what's closed, what's not closed. I'm not exactly sure, and honestly I don't care, because I'm not really attached to any of those things. So whenever it is that they open, I'm going to be very happy for it. I'm going to go and jump into the experience once again. But do I really need it? Not really. It's not exactly a need, it's not necessary. And so yeah, so we have the pandemic, right? You all know about that. But here's the other thing. I'm an introvert, and I went through the whole entire when it came to the lockdowns, right? When certain I think there's still some lockdowns still in place, so don't get me wrong here, but right now we're talking about here in California, in downtown Los Angeles. That's where I record these videos. There is no mandatory lockdown necessarily right now. Of course, there's still some places that are closed, and whatever. We're not gonna get into that, right? But here's the thing. I went through the entire lockdown, and that I feel like it affected me in a very negative way. Of course not. But this video, dares to claim that introverts will be massively affected, by the way, that just because now they're gonna have to spend time in solitude, and they think that spending time in solitude is the way to go, and that and this and that, right? So I felt very, I guess, uncomfortable when I was watching that video, because I was like, it's not like introverts, and their value is really based on relationships. That's only like a small percentage, actually, because clearly, this person making this video doesn't quite understand how an introvert works. So you see, introverts they actually make up for the lack of having relationships. So like I said, introverts may have one or two people, maybe three people that they really care about the most in their lives, and the rest of the people, they'll pretty much get thrown to the curb, because there's just no time, there's no space to nurture those relationships, because nurturing relationships takes a lot of time. Us as introverts, we understand that we can't just be crossing words here and there, and then like never talk to that person for like a whole 2 months, and then come back 2 months later and expect them to just like us out of a sudden. That's just not how it is. And us introverts, we don't respond that way either. If somebody comes up to us, they try to bond with us one day, and then they just disappear for 2 months, I mean, that day is gone. It's gone. Like it's completely gone. And you pretty much, when you come back after those 2 months, you're gonna have to redo the exact same thing you did that one day that we met. So because you just didn't nurture the relationship enough along those ways. You didn't keep yourself present throughout those 2 months. You didn't seem like a person who necessarily was important to us in our lives. So we pretty much just discarded you. We put you on the list of like not important, and that's pretty much where you're gonna stay unless you prove us otherwise. And so yeah, so like I said, we make up for it. So the way introverts do this is by creating activities that don't necessarily involve somebody else, and that necessarily give us fulfillment. So yeah, as an introvert, you may have things like your career. Maybe your career is based around, and introverts are very smart at doing this, because if you recognize yourself as an introvert, you try to pretty much design your life in a way that fits an introvert, and that avoids as much human contact as possible, because you don't want it. So perhaps you have a career in some sort of maybe you're a designer, online designer of some sort. You design websites. Maybe you're a programmer. You build software. Maybe you're a gamer. You like to play a lot of games, and perhaps you participate in competitions where there's things involved. Where you make a lot of You might make some sort of money, playing games, or you might have some sort of something, that involves, maybe you're a writer, and so you love to write. That's your passion. You're very into that. Maybe you like to create videos and stuff like that, right? So introverts, for the most part, they like to create activities around their passions, and so because of that, we don't necessarily need as much human contact, and we'll actually cut human contact as much as possible. And like I said, we'll have one or two people, and for the most part, those one or two people are very, very close. So in the case of the lockdown, for the most part, we either live with that person that's very special to us, or we keep very close contact. And here's the thing: as introverts, our connections with the other people, the few people that we actually have, is very strong, meaning that we're completely open. It almost seems as though, the way extroverts communicate between each other, that's how introverts communicate with their friends as well, when they find the right ones, because there's just superb confidence, superb trust, and there's just a lot of, a huge connection between the two. And so in the case of a lockdown, sure, you're prohibited, sure, to go to certain places, and you're really unable to really, mingle and stuff. But there are alternatives, and introverts will recognize this, because we're pretty smart, we're pretty geniuses, and like I said in a previous video, we're able to really get in our heads and really assess the situation properly. So at the time, there was still opportunities to hang out with your best friends and stuff. There was things that you could still do, and especially this is amazing for introverts, because the thing is that the low stimulating activities were still available. You can still go out for a walk, to the park or to the sidewalk. You could walk in some really nice areas. You didn't necessarily have to go and go do crazy things, like drink, or go to a museum, or go play some sort of something, VR games or some sort of arcade. We introverts, we don't need that. Like I said, we respond to very low stimulating activities. So because of that, we didn't necessarily need to be have all those really cool crazy things open. So because of that, like I said, we had that in our favor. And of course, there was opportunities, there was testing available. In the worst case scenario, if you start to feel symptoms, you can still go and get yourself tested to see if you had contracted the virus or not. And so there was that alternative. And of course, at the end of the day, there's the alternative of course, just going for it and just pretty much taking the risk. And pretty much introverts are in a better position to take the risk than extroverts are, because introverts, like I said, they don't really mingle with a lot of humans in the first place. So if the case were to happen where an introvert would get something, it would be very it would just be in very close proximity. It would pretty much just stay between those two people, because those two people don't even interact with the outer world as much anyway. So there's that. And of course, this person here that was making the video, of course, disregarded the fact that, hey, you know what, introverted relationships can also go very deep. Very, very deep, actually even deeper than extroverts. And so it's not like we're not just gonna abandon those people and be like, okay, you know what, I don't give a fuck, Of course, we're gonna go ahead and call them, obviously, if they matter to us, if they, if there's some sort of a connection. Of course, we're gonna go and actually, contact them, talk to them, call them up, maybe FaceTime. And of course, those conversations may not be as long. Maybe we just hit them up for 5-10 minutes and we're good. We're fulfilled, because like I said, introverts don't need to prolong conversation for 2-3 hours. That just doesn't happen. And so there's that. So, and then of course, you combine that with the fact that this introvert has passions in place, or we could actually have those. Now, of course, this involves having a little bit of personal development, which is why my channel is here. But as an introvert, you can learn here on my channel how to pivot, when such situation appears. So in that case, we were facing a set of circumstances, so we had to pivot in a certain direction where we can still live out our passions, but maybe not as before anymore, but it's still as effective, and we can still have a lot of fulfillment because of that. And that's how we really pretty much overcome this whole situation, and we feel very at ease with the lockdown. And I pretty much made a video here. You can go and check it out on my channel. I made a video the very first day that I was able to come back to work, because it was amazing. I felt really good, and you can pretty much learn the real-time experience of what happened. In that video, you can see like my hair was all messed up because all the the hair salons were closed and stuff like that. It was just a crazy video, but you can go ahead and watch that. But for the most part, I had a great time. I got very productive. I wrote all the books that you can find here on my channel, in the audiobook version, and down below you can find the PDF versions. All those PDF versions, I wrote them during lockdown. I made a ton of content, not personal development content, but I made other content, for the other channels, especially for the podcast. I was still doing the podcast as well every single Saturday, where I participate in the Develop Your Mindset podcast. And there was just a lot going on, and that was because I chose to pivot in that direction where, I can still maintain myself active. And of course, I still kept in touch with the few people that, I really cared about, and that, sort of have made a difference in my life. And so there's that. And so that's my whole thing about this video, because this video sort of pointed out things that I completely didn't agree with. And I feel like the person, behind the camera there, it's not doing a very good job with describing the perspective of an introvert. And that person themselves does not seem like an introvert. And this is my whole thing with this teaching introversion to other people. Do not try to teach introversion to other people if you yourself are not an introvert. So here's the thing, like, I am an introvert, and so I'm teaching this in a way where it's personal, in a way where I've gone through the things that I'm teaching you, and some of these things I'm still going through them. So I'm still in the field. I'm still constantly working on growing, on expanding, this introvert world. And so that person right there, while their video may have lots and lots of views, I don't completely agree with the fact that the pandemic affected extroverts more than introverts. I feel like it was more of a one-sided conversation there, and that this person was completely on the side of extroverts, and pretty much saying that introverts pretty much don't understand, and that are not necessarily equipped to deal with a pandemic and stuff like that. And so I don't agree with that. And I have introvert friends. As a matter of fact, I have two of them, and they did great. They had an awesome time, and they still are. And some of them even outgrew the things that, the way they were. I personally went through a very life-changing experience at that point, and I feel like I just skyrocketed, which is why I have created all these videos from that point on, because I feel like I have a lot to share now. And so I'm very proud of that. And yeah, so here's the thing, like, if you're an introvert, you're watching, please leave in the comment section below. Let me know exactly how the pandemic, and if you went through the lockdown, how the lockdown itself affected you as an introvert, and were you able to really experience the lockdown in a very positive way, or did you struggle? If you did struggle, leave it in the comment section below. Or if you're currently struggling, leave it in the comment section below, and I'll make sure to make a video addressing whatever it is that you're going through right now, and I'll make sure to give you the best tips that you as an introvert you can take. Because like I said, sure, I study introversion, but I also study personal development, and I will make a video teaching you guys how to actually combine the two, because it may seem like something natural to do, to really combine personal development, but actually there's a specific way you have to do it if you're an introvert. So a video like that is coming soon. But that's pretty much it. I just wanted to give my opinion on this video. I just didn't necessarily agree with it. I think the pandemic will affect a certain individual with certain traits, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be an introvert or an extrovert. It's pretty much based on character and who they are. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe. Like I said, I need subscribers. Make sure you like this video and make sure you give it a thumbs up and make sure you hit that notification icon. Other than that, I'll see you guys in the next video.